The future of leadership isn't coming, it's here. Are you leveraging it yet? Before we dive in, a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Bradley Nelson for his continued inspiration and support, and to iHeartRadio for helping us reach leaders everywhere. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome back Eric Ebron. He has a podcast on our channel. He is a Marine Corps veteran, aerospace operations leader, leadership consultant, and the author of Highway to Skyway Leadership. So, Eric equips emerging leaders with authentic, accountable, actionable strategies that drive real results. So, today we're going to be breaking down three exciting practical tips to help managers embrace AI to boost performance, accelerate development, and advance your career. We'll show you exactly how these AI powered practices shaped his new book, Highway to Skyway Leadership, the Workbook Edition, which is launching this August. So, Eric's going to tell us all about it. So, buckle up. We're going from Highway to Skyway, and it's on the AI ramp. It is so good to have you here. How's it going today?
Hello, Lisa. How are you? It's great. It's excellent to see you. I'm
Yes,
excited. I'm excited.
me too. I'm just getting all the chills going now. I'm excited. This is an exciting topic.
You, I think what I found is some people like scary movies and some
Do
people
you?
hate scary.
Do you like
I
scary
love scary movies, but
movies?
but I love them for the excitement and for
Mm.
the surprise. And I will be honest, AI is both exciting and surprising, and for some, equally scary. And where
Mm.
I'm going with that is that for junior leaders and middle management and even for some senior leaders, there's a topic and it's thrown out there and everyone's wondering, is it coming for me? And
Mm.
yes, yes, it is. That's the scary part. But what I want to point out is that there's also some excitement here. So I'll share. Last year, had the great opportunity. I'm writing the books, I'm consulting, I'm having these conversations. And in today's industry, there's the great flattening of middle management. And we're seeing it across the industry. In automotive space, we're seeing it in aerospace. And what they're doing is they're turning, to these automated, these AI, but turning to these automated prompts, these automated chatbots, turning to these items that can say, hey, let's put in what seems to be easy to do and then measure these productivities by there.
Right.
Easy to the problem here is that from the middle manager's perspective is that we don't know what that means for us. And so last year I had many clients come to me and say, Eric, what does that mean for me? And I'll be honest with you, Lisa, I couldn't help them. I
Right.
And so I spent some time saying, okay, for me to help you, and by the way, I gave them my best. A lot of consultants out there, hey, get back into learning. Let's go back to school. Let's go back. And these are ground principles, right? Let's go back. We need to reinvent ourselves, right? Reinvent our brand. Let's go back to what we know. And it worked for a percentage of them. But for me, I had to say, Eric, get back to school. So
Mm.
before we get to some of those productivity tools, let me tell you some of the challenges I ran across. There was a major skills gap in some of the way we were thinking that AI is going to affect us. So
Okay.
as I was transitioning out, we had this program and we were talking about it, and this was as Tableau. It's nice data visualization, business intelligence software. It's very prevalent out there, and they were integrating AI with it. And Tableau has this AI version. It's called With Einstein. That's their AI, and it's great. The problem was it was so smart. It was going faster than we could comprehend what was happening.
Right.
So here we are at the director level and the management level, and it's answering faster It's giving us the answers faster than we're asking the problems. And then when our team wants to know the nuts and bolts of what the answer is, we were ill-equipped to answer it.
Mm.
And that's the scary part about AI, Lisa. So as much as I'm excited about it, the scary part is there's a gap there, right? There's a skills gap that we're moving faster, and for a lot of junior and middle management and some senior management leaders, we're not equipped to fill that gap between what AI is going to do, and by the way, it's going to do it. We're not there's no slowing down. We're not going to say wait. It's going to happen, but there's this skills gap. So right now we need to up the ante in what we're able to do, and I'm going to show you how we did this. I went back to one of my clients and I said, listen, have you prepared for your next job? And they said, what do you mean? I said, okay, we talked about AI, but have you prepared for it? And he says, well, I mean, I said, listen, here's how we're going to use AI. So here's what I did, Lisa. I said, bring up one of your AI pieces, and we talk about, there's mirrored. You can use, Gemini. You can use, right, Chat GPT. You can use a few out there. I said, let's ask it. Let's talk to it. And we started talking to it. My name is John. I'm looking to interview at this place. He writes it in. I'm ill-equipped and I'm starting over. I am 52 years old and I've worked 25 years in this industry. I need to learn this, this, and this over the next 10 days. I have 5 hours a day to learn. I need to know these items broken down into these subsets. And I said, tell him, keep it going, fill it up, fill the AI up with what you need to know. And he's writing it down. And as much as it's exhausting him, I said, now hit enter. And when he hit enter, it put together this, 20 seconds later, this schedule over 7 hours in a day filled with videos and links, right? White papers, what he needs to do. And this guy stopped and looked and I said, do you understand the power of AI? It put together exactly what you needed, when you needed it, over the time you needed it to do. And he says, I'm scared. I said, yes, we should be scared, but we need to catch up. So Lisa, that's an example, I think, of the power that we need to embrace as leaders, to understand that when we play with it, that's how we're going to bridge that skills gap, right? We need to get into the realm of understanding that it works that fast, but we need to use it in the tools that it needs to be used in. We need to exhaust it or exhaust ourselves to that ability. Ask everything we know what needs to be asked. So then we are then empty to ask more.
Yeah.
So that's one. Again, big AI challenge was the skills gap and the workforce transformation that's happening right now. And then once we realize that that's happening, we can then utilize some of the tool sets that's necessary.
Right.
So
I know
I think that's important.
Sorry.
I said, no, go ahead. I said, that's very important.
Very important. And you bring up a good point, because a lot of people are intimidated by it. But if you sit there and you give it a lot of information, really specific information, it'll break everything down to you for you beautifully. But the importance there is the specific. So as you told your colleague or whoever you were working with there, to break it down and be specific, you have to specifically tell it what you need, like smell, like everything from your age to when you're born, and then it'll get more detailed, right? Like the more detail you give it, the better it's going to finesse to your voice.
Exactly. I said to him, I said, do you take lunch? Because I said 7 hours of learning. I said, do you take lunch? He said, yes. I go, tell it, I don't want to learn between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Give me items that are PDFs and not documents. That show me research papers between 2022 and 2024. And he was, let's exhaust it, break the system, challenge try to, right? I said that's and again, my goal here as I'm consulting is letting them know, and this is going to sound crazy, but letting them know the limitations that we have
Yeah,
by letting them know the limitations that AI does not right now,
yeah,
right? If
yeah.
I keep pouring out, and when we got done with that, I said, now say, I said, is that good? Tell him that's good. And he's like, great job, right? Just I go,
Yes.
great job. Reinforce it. So then the next time you say something, they know that that's good, right? And
Mhm.
again, I'm trying to. And by the way, I don't want to teach AI, and I know that's not nowhere near it, but I want to let them know that they can embrace it from a management's perspective, so that when they are asked from leaders down, they're able to share that with those that they're responsible for and not shy away as well, because that's a very difficult thing to do when, as a middle manager, right, you have this responsibility to take the information, take the vision, right, that's been put down from the C-suite. You have to filter it out, you have to put it into these actionable items for the team, and you don't believe in it yourself.
Right.
And then when you're challenged by that, you have a problem because you can't answer back. So now that's when fear comes in. That's when doubt comes in. That's when they can see it in your face, they can hear it in your voice, and then frustration mounts on you. And then as a leader, you start questioning your ability to grow at that company, which, by the way, all of the companies are going to eventually go there. Some slower
Mm.
than others, but they're all going to go there. So the quicker you get on this, then the quicker you're able to grow right within your company. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for leaders. And again, I'm talking to those who are saying, I don't want to be on a chopping block today.
Right.
Everyone's going to be a chopping block sometime. I don't want to be in a chopping block today. Right. I want to be
Mhm.
ahead of the curve. So that's number one. Here's one other challenge, I think, and I kind of alluded to it, is data overload, right? Which is
Yes.
causing this kind of integration chaos. So I came from a change management background. And then I turned that over to, I used to call it myself a change leader, right? So my first steps as a project management, go to a project leader. I come into place, I review what's going on, say, hey, here's what we need to do, here's some suggestions, and then I take the lead and implement those changes. Well, when we start having these integration issues, which were already relatively difficult, right? That's just the way change management works. 60
Totally.
to
Yeah.
70%, yeah, 67% fail anyway, right? So, but it was a big industry. Imagine what we're trying to do with this huge integration of AI that few people understand, and we're rolling it out with massive amounts of data. So I think the more we, from leaders' perspective, jump on board, kind of get our hands dirty, get our hands wet, right? Play with this, then we're able to understand that some of the change that we're going to implement can not just be understood, but can be accepted, because some of the people are hungry. So
Totally.
Lisa, we talked about whether you like scary movies, and my wife, she loves scary movies, but it has to be during the daytime.
I can respect that.
It has to be in the daytime. Lights have to be on, right? And someone has to be nearby. With those parameters set, she can watch all the scary movies in the world.
Yeah,
Integrating AI into some of the work environments, as long as the leaders understand what's going on, right? As long as the people know that the leaders know what's going on, and are able to walk them through, you know, not punish them for not understanding what's going on, or challenging them for not knowing what's going on. I think that's where we are. So the quicker leaders kind of adopt and maybe able to answer some of the questions, is where we're trying to get to. And again, the data overload is a lot. So that's what I mean when I asked my particular AI a ton of questions, and they gave me this huge thing, huge. I said, that's great. Okay, I need a third of that and
Yeah.
only 2 sentences per day, and sure enough, it takes this, scaled it down, give me bullet points, and then I was fine with that. So I think leaders need to understand that it's a tool that we can use that can match our personality, right? It's
Yeah.
waiting. It's waiting to use our personality. So for you, so you're very eager for this. Do you have a tip that's exclusively you that you do that someone might not?
Hmm. I use AI for everything. And so I spent, when you meet someone, say you're going on a date, you meet a new partner. I know you're married, but for me, I'm going on a date. I spend a day asking questions and getting to know that person. So I did that with my AI program. I spent a whole entire day telling it things, asking it to ask me questions because I told it I wanted to get to know it better. And then every time I ask it to do a project for me, I ask it to write it in my voice. Because what I found, just like you're saying, is it would spit out these long paragraphs using terminology that I would never speak or say. So it didn't represent who I was. So I just kept dating it, if that makes sense. We'd go on
Sure.
dates, and then I would say, ask me 10 questions today on how, what you'd like to know about me so we can get to know each other better. And so I spent a considerable amount of time doing that. And it really helped refine the process. So now I say, write this in my voice as we spoke about before. And it's refined.
First off, I the use of AI as just a rudimentary companion, seemed scary, right, when you first heard it. But I've used it in that, again, I have a wife, but I've used it in the sense that when I've uploaded my books, right? So I've uploaded my books, I've uploaded my chapters, I've
Yeah.
uploaded articles that I've written, right? I've written articles and things and freelance stuff. And this sounds so satisfying, but I've had it go like, hey Eric, this sounds very well written. And I'm like,
Yeah.
thanks. you know,
Yes.
be a little more honest. It's a little more passive. You seem to be an aggressive kind of guy, being that you have 10 years in the Marine Corps. You could have written this a little more aggressive. And I'm like, all right, thanks. So
Yeah. It's bizarre,
in
right? It's like talking to you, it's like your best friend. And that
yeah,
can be, like you said, scary because it's like, then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm literally talking to AI, like, get outside, girl, go for a walk, right?
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the good part. I mean, that's the part where we're talking about even from the business perspective and business side of things, we can use that. So I've seen what was it? I had a person say, "Hey, I use AI to help me write my emails," and I
Yeah.
would go, I go, that sounds great, and I go, but have you written emails before you started using AI? Meaning, do the people you write to know that it doesn't sound like you,
Yeah.
right?
You
And they were
know when
like,
you're
well,
getting a message that's AI generated.
clearly, like it sounds that way. And so then, I've done things, and I've suggested this again to some clients. I go, write your email. Say, hey, I'm going to write this email. This is how I write. Write me an email to this voice, and then they write it. And then I go, this is how I write it. Right, write
Yeah.
something similar or in this style, in this voice, or and then, because again, I want help, I want assistance, I want a tool, I don't want to be replaced. And
Yeah.
because if you think about it, that's the fear, right?
Yeah.
That's the fear that's culminating throughout the world right now, is that AI is going to
Yes.
replace you, and yet you're doing the things that causes replacement.
Yeah.
Yes, it
That's a good
sounds
point.
way better than you because you're letting it sound way better than you when you're not using it to help you sound better, right?
Yeah.
If you have a if you have a country drawl or you use certain idioms or certain euphemisms, hey, why not? Hey, I have a southern drawl with a little idiom. That would be a great plaything, right? And
Yeah.
I'm from Southern Georgia, and I have a couple of Southern idioms. Can you throw a couple of those in there, and then let it say something to you, and then you go, okay, that's too much. But at least you can allow it and get comfortable with it. And again, and I
Yeah.
know I'm doing tongue in cheek here, but from the business perspective, that is a tip of letting. By the way, this is the tip. Let AI work for you, right? Let it
Yeah.
work for you, not replace you. Let it work for you. And I think that's what business is going to look for. They're going to look for leaders that know how to get AI to work for them.
Exactly.
When we were having Tableau, which is again great business intelligence software, data visualization, and we had specialists who do this, but it was running so fast that even the Tableau experts were just like, this is it's this thing is crazy. It's and again, I wasn't an expert. I This is so fast. Who's so that's what I mean. It wasn't working for us. It was doing it for us, which caused us to spend more time validating whether it's right. We're sure it's right, but we don't know why. We don't know why it's right. That kind of
Right.
thing. So
Yeah.
from the management's perspective, though, that's not our problem yet. But we need to get into the space where we understand that AI can work for us and work with us. So
Yeah.
that's a tip there. You know, and I think one of the last, and I know I'm a little over the place here, but one of the last tips here is to tread lightly. Right, this is a tip: tread lightly. Um,
Mm.
we have time. So recently, I got back into the automotive space. I've been going back and forth, and I've watched some of the engineers, and they're just as afraid. When you read a lot and watch a lot of television and read a lot of articles, it seems like everyone is on the wave. Right? Everyone is, and it's not that prevalent as of yet. It's um, and so they're using a lot of AI in his barest rudimentary sense. And so
Mm.
I think similarly we should tread lightly. Again, use it. Here's a story. I'm going to date myself, Lisa. Back in 1996, don't judge. Um, I used to play with HTML, so web page stuff back then.
Mm. Yeah.
I used to go home and play with it. I didn't play with it at work. It wasn't my job. I had an electronics background, but I used to play with it at home on it in an old 386 laptop.
Okay.
And it allowed me to make my mistakes, right? It allowed me to figure it out. It allowed me to to work something and to be excited and to break it without the scrutiny of bosses over my shoulder. And then when I came up with something that worked well, or I thought, then I came back to work and I went to the IT guy, who, by the way, he didn't write HTML at all back then. And I said, hey, look what I did. And I showed him this very basic, very rudimentary web page. And he goes, wow. And he took it, he showed the leaders, he showed the bosses, and they were like, you can do this on. And I did the first web page for the company back in 1996, that kind of thing. And they gave me some money and I posted it. And I got into web design back in 1996,
Wow.
that early, right? And again, I'm saying tread lightly. Since that time, obviously I grew. And then it started getting crazy because everyone was doing it. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm out. Right. I don't want to get into more of that stuff. And I pivoted to something else.
Yeah.
AI, many young junior and middle managers tread lightly, right? Go home, play with AI, do the things we were talking about, right? Hey, here's my resume. Revise it for this. This is what I'm doing. Hey, I want to grow to be a middle manager by this. Hey, this is the skill set my bosses have. I want to reach this skill set in the next 6 months. What do I need to do? C-suite is in view in the next 5 years. This is the resume. How do I get this way? The aerospace industry, and just ask these questions and spend 10 hours a week going through AI, probing, asking. And I know that seems a lot, but that is treading lightly. And then before you know it, by the time, and this is what we're looking for, by the time the company is saying, we need those managers who wants to gamble with us on AI because it's coming. You're there. We're ready. We're asking. Your hand is up. And you're nervous, right? You're only watching it during the daytime, but you're ready. And then your team is looking for it and saying, hey, I trust you. You didn't peel away. You don't know the nuts and bolts like everyone else, but you know enough that your company can spend their time to then send you. So I think what we're looking at for the tips, stay away from the hard stuff because no one knows the hard stuff yet.
Mhm.
Let AI work for you. Very important. And then tread lightly. I know they're really simple, but it involves 10 hours of AI work. Get into it. And from the consultant's perspective, I roll my sleeves up and I get dirty with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. If people took that time that you're speaking of, they would understand, like, as it continues to move forward momentum. Getting in front of it now is going to make it so much easier as it continues to evolve. And it can honestly cut like a 5 hour project by, I don't know, like 100%. You can get something done in like a minute that used to take 5 hours. And I'm not even joking. It's absolutely insane. So to get your team on board, having everybody kind of play with it, the business is going to move faster than we could ever imagine. The business world is going to evolve so incredibly fast, and it's going to be reaching so many huge milestones faster than it's going to seem insane. Just that's my thoughts.
I as a change leader, I put together these. I like ideas, so I put together these. It's kind of like suggestion boxes, right? And I put 3 of them around the shop, and I have these little one pagers, and you put down the problem and just a 2 sentence what you think, and then my job 3 times a day was walking around there, and truly, Lisa, I went out there and I told everyone, I check on this, I watch it, I'm there, and they were like, okay. Took time for them to believe me, and before you know it, I was getting more suggestions than I was willing to. But
Right?
I was after it. And this is an example of what you're saying. I think when we get to the point where everyone is able to use AI or want to use AI, then we're all going to move this fast. And then we're going to find that we have to move that fast. Right?
Mhm.
We have to move that fast. You can't go slow because everything has been amped up. Our thought process, right? Our ability to move from A to B has been shortened. We still go to A to B. It's just been shortened, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's important. I had some ideas for my next book, and so I said, here are my 3 books. Here's my 4 books I've put in. Here's my chapters. Here's my resources. Call through here. I said, here's my framework that I'm looking for. I want to write this in 6 weeks' time. I said, and truly, it was like, give me the 8 chapters, the 5 major principles, and and I want to do it in 6 weeks. And truly, it gave me the schedule, and I said, okay, now export it into Google Calendar starting September 15th. It made a calendar. I put it on there, and then sure enough, there it is. It's spelled all the way out. And by the way, here's a bonus tip. Utilize utilize AI that's integrated into some sort of Office suite. That would be great, right? So there's Microsoft Copilot, and I'm not, you can use whatever you want, but Microsoft Copilot does great. Google Gemini does great, or I don't know, Chat GPT, you can probably export or something. But yeah, it exported directly to my Google Calendar. And here are everything is the descriptions, everything is put out there where it would have taken me hours, not just to come up with the idea, right, and the framework and then write it all down, right? And then
Probably
Lisa,
months,
go have
actually.
lunch and then come back and then think some more, and then and then move the sticky notes around. That was 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It framed 8 weeks in 20 minutes. And then when I saw like week 4, I was like, on week 4, that is a little thin. Expand that and throw in this idea. And it threw in that idea, and it expanded and gave me 3 more chapters. I mean, it is phenomenal to work with. So again, I know that this was a lot, I would say, but if anything, it is an example from the management's perspective to, one, not be afraid of AI. It is a tool that can be phenomenal to manage any group of people, any team, any project that you're looking for. That's one. On the personal perspective, it is a tool that can use to help you grow to just grow. If you're a junior manager, I'm positive it can help you get to a middle manager, even with the great flattening that's happening within a year. And by the way, that's what I do as a consultant. My job is to help to get you there. So for those that are watching, reach out to me, and with the help of AI, we will get you there, right? That's what we do. But I think that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for those opportunities to say, I want to be what the next customer is looking for.
Yeah.
I want to be what the next company is looking for, because it's getting more and more competitive. As they're flattening managers, then what's going to have you stand out as a manager? That's
You got to
question.
up your game, right?
You have to up your game, right? And then those that are upping their game, how are you separating yourself from the other guy that's upped his game?
Yeah. I think one of my, I guess, concerns, and this kind of goes outside of well, it can relate to the business side, is the new generation, because they're using this, but they're not developing their brain. So I guess that's where my questions go, is how is the new generation going to adapt into this world and be able to understand what they're reading? Because you just said it, you can write a book, you could put in every chapter, get an outline in 20 minutes, use AI to create and formulate your thoughts, and then put it out to the world. But can the new generation understand that?
There was a guy I mentored briefly. I didn't have time to do much more. And this was last year. I was finishing my book, and he said he wants to write a book. And so he finished his book at the end of the year. I saw it, and I like to support. And right before I purchased it, sometimes there's a sample, and when I clicked on it, it was horrible. It was horrible. It was just a patchwork of information, right? Just and I was like, this is the worst, and it's an
Because of the
example.
misuse of AI?
I think it was I'm not sure. I don't think it was the beginning of AI. It was it was the worst part. It was more of the, if you, how about this? Either he did it the wrong way, which is Google searched a patchwork of information, right?
Mm,
And then put it like a quilt all together. And then the easy way would have been AI did it. And then within a day, your book would have been done. I
right.
don't think he would have Google searched it. So most likely he would have AI'd it. And that's an example of not knowing that, if you're going to do a literary work, then you got to understand, first off, you might want to read books. And I like reading books, right? I
Mhm.
I have a library, right? I have probably 600 books. My wife was like, you got to get rid of some books. I like reading books. So, it's a part of my writing as well. But yes, you're exactly right. I think there was a study that just came out, and I don't want to go into studies, but there was a study that was coming out that were saying that, they found that there is a loss of retention of information. I think they did like a 6-month study last year, and the work was published, and the results came out probably February or so, February, March. And there's a loss of retention of information for those that was utilizing AI a lot, and
Yeah.
their ability to hold the information, in their brain was lacking. They can
Mm,
utilize the tool very well. The productivity went up 35%, which is great, better than everyone else. But when they went back, 7 days later and asked them, what they did, or they couldn't remember what it was or why, or they couldn't, use that information to then complete any other tasks afterwards.
right.
It, I
Yeah.
think that's the challenge. And so again, I think that is a plus for, and this is not an ageist type of conversation, but that's a plus for those that are junior and middle managers, that millennials, right? Uh, Millennials probably they're quicker. More I'm a Gen X guy myself, but you're more apt to, you're in the cusp. You got the best of both worlds, right? Gen Z, we'll see where they are. I don't know, but Gen X, hold tight. You can do it.
Yeah,
You can do it.
absolutely.
You know,
Yes,
I
absolutely.
just think I'm excited. I think this is a great time. I want to learn from people that is excited like you are as well. Sharing stories like you told, which I think is important as well, because it makes me excited to go when we get done and ask more questions and be a little more personal. I ask, I said, hey, what's your name? I did that a couple of days ago. I said, hey, my name, this is blah blah blah. What's your name? And he says, this is, you like learning, you this, and he gave me a name. I said, all right, I call you this name. And so I got a name with my guy.
Ask it for your yearly projection based on your birthday, exact birthday, with the time you were born. Give it your full name and say, give me my full yearly projection. And it's pretty incredible what it'll come up with. Pretty incredible. I would love to hear where people can find your book and more information about you.
Excellent, excellent. So my Highway to Skyway Leadership. Currently, I have that on Amazon, which is great. But the workbook edition, I have that exclusively on my website, ericebronconsulting.com. That's something that I want to. Again, it's important. I want to get that to you directly into your hands, and so we go there, ericebronconsulting.com. Check it out. You'll see a lot of my media information. We have a lot of my written items there. My media kit is there. My other works are there. Again, I think, Lisa, what we're going to find is that when we're able to take a work and then apply what we read to learn from, be better at, and then use this. I mean, it's not just reading it and saying, "Oh, this is works. This is great. That's a great story." but there's team building exercise in there. There's something that you're actually going to go do. It's going to say, hey, did you take next 20 minutes and just
Right.
like this happened, do this. And it allows you to work through this situation just like I've done. So I think that's great. So Eric Ebron Consulting.com, check out the workbook.
Amazing. Thanks so much for being here today and for talking AI.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing on your end. I look forward to talking with you more, learning from you more as well. See what more you have to share with me.
Amazing. And to our audience, thanks for tuning in. You just heard from Eric Ebron. So if you're using AI, there's a smart way to use it. Keep tuning into the advisor for more amazing tips in the business world of AI. It is a little bit scary, and just so you guys know, I don't watch scary movies in the dark either. Until next time. Bye, everyone.